I genuinely can't believe what I just witnessed in episode 1073 of One Piece. This is easily the best animated episode of 2023 by far, and this is in a year where we got Demon Slayer Season 3. Because even though Demon Slayer had some really insane animation this season, it's not even comparable to One Piece this year. And I don't think anything else is gonna manage to top it aside from maybe Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. But as much as I love Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't think it's gonna manage to top uninterrupted non-stop 5 minutes of Sakuga animation. And this is something you wouldn't even find in movies with a high budget. And One Piece is doing this while being a weekly anime. Granted, not every episode is as insane as this. Also, animation is not just the main attraction for this episode. This episode also had some amazing direction and art, even in the non-fight scenes as well. And the pacing was freaking great, aside from the 5 minutes extended flashback with Momo. That was pretty much the only bad thing about this episode, and was literally perfect aside from that. And also, we finally got the new opening in this episode, and it was absolutely stunning and well worth the wait, considering we got leaks for the new opening way before the Gear 5 episode even came out. And I was thinking every subsequent week after 1071 that the opening is going to be next week, and it was painful as hell. But regardless, we're finally here. And there's just so much to talk about this episode. But before we dive into this breathtaking episode of One Piece, I would really appreciate it if you guys could leave a like on this video if you are enjoying it so far, and subscribe to my channel for more One Piece and anime content. With my self-plug out of the way though, let's dive in. So before the episode, I first want to talk about the new opening, as it was something I was looking forward to a lot, especially because it's being directed by the GOAT Megumi Ishitani herself, who directed the 3 best episodes of One Piece, and it clearly shows in the opening because it's easily the most beautiful One Piece opening, especially in terms of composition, which is something the rest of the One Piece openings don't even come close to, even though they might have some insane animation. The song is very chill, and some people are probably not gonna like that, but I personally really liked it, and it is easily one of my favorite opening songs from One Piece. Also, the visuals have absolutely stunning animation, especially that shot of Gear 5th Luffy, and all the slice of life moments and everyone celebrating is just so nice to see, especially after the previous One Piece openings having basically none of that. The one thing I don't like, and I can see a lot of people complaining about this opening, is the fact that pretty much the first 30 seconds of the opening is just a still shot with scenes from Wano in the background. And it just feels very lazy, but at the same time, I'm honestly not too mad about it because they've made it in a way where they can completely replace that entire 30-second sequence with new visuals once Wano is over. Or they are going to completely replace this opening entirely, considering all the visuals this opening shows is nothing further than the end of Wano. And considering that we're at the finale of Wano and it has at most around 10 episodes left, this opening being somewhat lazy doesn't bother me at all. And now moving on to the episode. The first 5 minutes were a Momo flashback, and then we move on to the biggest flex I have seen from any anime studio ever, with uninterrupted Sakuga moments from 5+ minutes straight. Whereas most anime break up the Sakuga scenes between characters talking and monologuing, and the fact that most Sakuga scenes in anime are less than 1 minute. This is easily the best animated episode of 2023 and one of the best One Piece episodes of 2023 so far. Massive shouts out to every single animator and the staff members who worked on this episode, especially the fight and the entire second half. You guys have genuinely created something I never thought was possible. Since I don't really have much to add to the fight scenes, I'll just list off some of my favorite moments from there and then move on to the second half of the episode. Luffy turning clouds and lightning into the rubber and then using those to propel himself was just so freaking cool, especially the scene where Kaido is surrounded by lightning everywhere and Luffy is just switching between them really fast and then attacks Kaido. Also, Luffy turning his surroundings into rubber in order to lessen the damage he takes from them is just such a cool use of his power as well. And I also really like the fact that they are dialing down the Looney Tunes sound effects and animations for this part of the fight because it's way more intense right now compared to the part where Luffy just discovered his powers. Obviously the effects are still there, but they definitely have dialed them down a lot, and it really helps make the fight feel a little more impactful. And lastly, I wanna say I just love how they use perspective shots in this episode to show Kaido in certain moments, as they really make him feel like an absolute menace. And the final Thunder Bagua from Kaido was freaking incredible. And now let's move on to the second half of this episode, which was probably my favorite part of this episode, because even though I love animation a lot, just animation isn't enough to have made me wanna call this episode the best One Piece episode of 2023. We see how Onigashima is slowly about to crash into the flower capital, and Momo is too scared to think he can do anything about it. We see all the people celebrating at the capital, and it's just so sad that this is the one day they get to celebrate the entire year, and they're going back to slavery the next day. One guy literally hopes that he manages to survive one more year. And we also see all the samurai at Onigashima and their resolve to die fighting Kaido if they can manage to save the capital, and how they are not afraid of dying at all. All that was really well done, and now we see all the people from the capital sending their fire lanterns into the sky with their wishes on it, and it was, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful One Piece moments of all time. And all of their wishes are just so sad, and hearing all of this and seeing the lanterns up in the sky, Luffy bounces back for the final time after getting hit by Kaido's blast breath and decides to launch his final attack. And it is a giant fist that is larger than Onigashima itself, coated with armament haki that is about to hit Kaido. And Luffy asks Momo to move Onigashima as it is in the way, and Momo is still scared. But Luffy tells Momo that he trusts him, giving him the resolve to move Onigashima, and with Luffy's final fist about to hit Kaido, this is where this incredible episode of One Piece ends. And man, what a ride it was, both in terms of animation and direction. If only the Momo flashback wasn't present at the beginning of this episode, it easily would have been one of the best One Piece episodes of all time. But it still is the best One Piece episode of 2023, as well as being the best animated anime episode this year. That is more than enough. Thanks for watching, like and sub for more, and peace.